Swole, which for a lot of people they may not know who Joey Swole is, but he's a fitness influencer, and I guess I should say fitness, but he is a gym influencer. And I Joey Swole has never been on my radar until he started posting videos of people just being just basically just terrible people, terrible humans in the gym, and that's supposed to be the safe place.
Yeah. I learned a lot about Joey Swoll this week, but I also learned a lot about what they call that dog whistling. But we'll get into that a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah. So let me get this queued up here.
It's serious, y'all. All that shit. Doing unnecessary shit at the gym right now. But y'all, I don't even understand if he's trying to serve. There's so many other ways you could target your back.
So what?
All right. Before Joey Swoll gets into that, I'm just gonna say we've got to go back to where men are in their own safe safe spaces and women are in their own safe spaces. Like women are just ruining the gym for a lot of people.
I mean, depending on who you talk to, they might be making it better. A lot of them women do come in there with the cheeks out, trying to get some attention, and they get all the attention that they see. I can tell you that much.
Hey, look, you can have you have your cakes, and then you
And eat
just
it
can't have
too.
the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just can't have the camera, people pulling out their phones trying to get you in a gotcha moment and go viral. That's the one thing I don't like. And as many times I've been at the gym, I've never seen any man just be kind of creepy towards a woman. I've seen
Wait, hold
men.
on. Before you let's kind of recap this story real quick so people
Yeah.
understand what. So and TR, you correct me if I'm wrong about any of this because I might miss a piece or two. So the black lady there, she has a notable following on Instagram. I forget her name
Oh
off
yeah,
the
she's
top
a
of my
big
head.
fitness,
Yeah.
fitness influencer as well.
So what happened to the folks listening is she recorded the video of this gentleman doing his workout. Um, the gentleman noticed as well as some other people, and they called her out and asked her why she was doing that. Now, this is he say, she say at this point, right?
Mhm.
Essentially, she was saying she had the bench. He came in there and just straight deboed it from her. He's saying, I never had a conversation with this lady. She wasn't using the bench.
Yeah.
So essentially, we have a point where somebody's lying and somebody's telling the truth. That's the back side of the story for those people that didn't catch the whole thing. I just want to make sure that everybody knew what we were talking about.
Yeah, yeah, and it, the way that the story, like I thought this thing, I mean, it has gone viral, but it didn't fall into my algorithms until I saw a few other content creators bring it up though. So it's kind of interesting where these stories were all over the place. I want to say last year, and then now they're kind of showing up every now and then. I've seen more joke versions of this type of thing happening where the man is complaining that the woman is looking at him in a suggestive way. But I thought it was honestly dying off, but apparently not.
Yeah, and here's my thing with this lady. When I first heard both sides of the story, because you knew where this was going,
Yeah.
eventually she pulled the race card. She implied that there was some racism involved here.
Well, we're getting ahead. Let's get ahead.
Okay, oh, okay. If you got the clip, we're
All
gonna let
right.
it
Yeah.
run.
Let,
Okay,
let, let Joey, our boy Joey.
all right. We'll let Joey cook a little bit.
This man is doing is called a chest supported seal row. This is actually a great exercise. It's good for isolating the upper back, the lats, and by laying flat with your feet off the ground, you remove any cheating or momentum that you would get from your legs or your hips. It's also really good for people that have lower back problems and can't do the conventional bent over row. It's such a great exercise that they literally make a bench for this. Now, unfortunately, you're not going to see these benches in big commercial gyms, but it's not uncommon to see people makeshift a bench just like he does. I've done it many times. But what's worst of all is that you're a certified personal trainer and you don't know this or know better than to film someone to post on social media to make fun of him. And you recruit other people to join in and laugh at him too? Seriously? Shame on you. You need to do better. Mind your own business.
Oh, um, so when he tees off on these people, I definitely learn. I've seen these machines before, but when I initially saw the video, I honestly though I would have saw the video. I've seen people do makeshift stuff, and I'm like, well, I mean, long as he's being safe, like you don't want to create a situation where you are, stacking benches on top of each other for whatever reason, and people around you are not safe. And he looked like the guy was safe. So I kind of let people, around me like, hey, I'll make sure you're doing things you're supposed to be doing. Or I mean, not that I'm gonna, check you or anything, but I don't want you being, I don't get a barbell to my face or something because you weren't paying attention.
Jody said two critical things that stuck out to me off the rip. He identified this woman as a certified fitness trainer. When I hear certified, that means that there's training and compliance that needs to be followed.
Yes.
If that is the case, and she didn't know that that was an actual workout, that makes me kind of question, like, why would you go to somebody who doesn't know that? Like, I've seen that workout plenty of times before. And people will take the benches in the gyms and they do things like that all the time. They rearrange them. And then the
Mhm.
other piece is, if she's a certified personal trainer, she definitely should know better than recording somebody and making jokes and laughing at them. That's yeah.
Man, be a man and go in there and start recording chicks just doing the spread eagle workout or whatever. Be a man and do have your phone ready to go and get it on the glutes machine. Just like, hey, I'm just recording for scientific purposes or something. Like, be a man doing that. And the crazy thing in all this though is that when she posted stuff like that, because people always talk about weaponizing their audience or blah blah blah. That's exactly what she did. She went and did something where she didn't even need to do. And we've seen men just get eviscerated because they're on camera and they are the ones getting clowned on, and it's not even like it's really messed up, if anything. And I'm surprised gyms even allow this type of behavior, or they haven't outlawed it, because I know people want to get their influences and get their likes, blah blah blah, booty cheeks out. I get it. Those pants, they ain't gonna those shorts, they ain't gonna sell themselves. So I get it. You gotta be in the gym, you gotta be out in the wild, but you cannot be having people just videotape members, because I've seen multiple videos like this before. Like I said, this was happening a lot last year where a guy had looked over, and this is the other thing too. I want to put this out there. If you are a good looking woman, men are going to look. Like, if you don't want men looking at you, there's a couple of things you could definitely do, and it's the opposite of what you're doing. So if you don't want people to look at you, I get like, hey, some guys are going to like, take a quick pic and move on about their day. But I get like, just oogling or whatever. But that's not what he was doing. He did nothing like that. And most of those, those quote unquote creep videos, those guys are just being guys. And most of the time they're just, taking a look, like, you nice piece of calico. Like, hey, I'm gonna take a look. You're looking pretty good. And then you want to see some cheeks. Like, they're going to look. Guys look. So we can't be getting to this point where men aren't going to be men. But on the same note, you have this woman who is trying to say this guy doesn't know what he's doing, and then she weaponized her following to get in and make fun of this guy. Like, and there's going to be another conversation with this guy though. But again, you can't be doing that, because that could ruin people's lives. Just like when they say, "Hey, you're being a creepo," and you really weren't.
So you talked about how she weaponized her followers.
Mhm.
Two other things she weaponized is her femininity and her race.
Yeah.
She like I said, I kind of got ahead of myself a little bit, but it's true. She pulled the race card. And contrary to popular belief, I know a lot of people believe that most men are scumbags, but contrary to popular belief, when a woman is in distress, there's typically some men that will come to her defense
Always.
every single time, because we understand that is what our role is. But here's the problem. And this is why I said you really got to be careful when you listen to people that make these types of assumptions. To me, if you're going to call somebody racist, you're basically telling me that I have to cut them off. I'm not going to listen to them. I'm not going to support anything that they're doing. I'm not going to
Mhm.
give them my time, my resources, my money. That's not a word to play around with. And it really pisses me off. I think all at a very basic level, we need to understand if you pull the race card and that's not really what happened, you are slapping your ancestors in the face that actually went through real racism. You
Yeah,
might as well just go to their graves and just defecate on them because it's the exact same thing.
yeah,
And that's my problem with a lot of these people that turn themselves into victims all the time. And the reason why it was, like I said earlier, it was he say versus she say. But then the gym later came out and substantiated what the gentleman was saying, that this
mhm,
woman essentially was causing trouble. And here's the thing. And again, if you are a woman and you realize how powerful your femininity is, then you should also know if you have strong masculine men in your life, if you blow that whistle, the knights is coming to the rescue. The knights are
mhm.
coming to the rescue. So you better make sure it's for a valid reason. You're not about to send me on no crash out mission just because something happened and it pissed you off. If you're gonna tell me something is racist, you better make sure it's racist. A la Kamala Harris, who called Joe Biden racist, and now
Sure.
it's his vice president. What are we doing here? Stop using that racist word unless you really mean it.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Being racist and then also hate crimes, they've been thrown around so many times. You don't know what is what anymore. Because if people want to talk about like what truly is a hate crime, like there are some situations that have happened with individuals that you can tell that there's some motivation there. I get it. But when it comes to like, just throwing this out, like especially with this person, where she accused Joey Swole of being, racist and trying to weaponize and everything, weaponize the situation against him. Like most people, we understand like that's not going to be the case. But if this is just some random person who doesn't have the platform like Joey Swole does, or someone who doesn't have that visibility, or maybe they don't know how to like clearly explain it, they're going to be called a racist, and they're probably going to lose their job. And so it's unfortunate that where when somebody says racist, and honestly, when I hear racist, I'm like, all right, let me hear the full story. Let me see the full video. Let me see if there's anything else related. Because before I can say, this was like a, intent to be racist or whatever the case is, I gotta see all the notes. I gotta see all the information. Just like when he grape allegations, I gotta see everything related to that would led up to it. What happened after? Did she try to come back and say, hey, I know things got crazy, but I still love you, or some silly stuff like whatever it is, like we got to see all that information though. But and in today's age, we're not seeing that information. You are like, if she were to say like this guy was doing something, I mean, make no mistake, I think some of the men out there would have gotten that guy's face. And so you got a bunch of other men, other black men that are getting involved in a situation based off an allegation. This is like the Brick Lady 2.0, where she's saying something happened, try to say like, black men didn't do this. And that's another reason why the story should have blown up, because she tried to like get an angry mob towards towards black men, or she told the story that my brothers in arms, my Simpson arms came over to my rescue and was trying to figure out, like, trying to calm the situation down, which none of that stuff really happened. But again, she is weaponizing something that black men, and well, men in general really, but she made it say like my brothers in arms, so I'm going to say black men, where most black men will resonate with that, like, yeah, well, I'm glad those men were there, because if he was out of pocket, then he needs to be checked though. But this was a small stature guy though, so from what I've saw, or what I've seen, is that he, if he was to get upset, and I probably would be upset too, like, hey, y'all can't be surrounding me like this. Like, this is gonna be a problem for somebody getting a barbell to the head.
And again, I keep going back to this power thing because the common misconception is women don't have power. That's not true. Every woman is under the protection, whether she knows it or not, of
Right.
somebody. And if she blows that whistle, somebody is coming, and there's going to be furniture moving, and it could possibly escalate to something worse than that.
Mhm.
Now, if all of this stuff that she is accusing this place of doing didn't actually happen, then that makes her a terrible human being. But another group of people that I want to call out is all the women who were egging her on in the comments. Because in my mind, these are the same women that were applauding when Will Smith walked on the stage and slapped Chris Rock,
Oh
but
man,
not thinking about all the
I
stuff that
ain't
Will
over
Smith
that.
lost after that.
I just got over that when Bad Boys 4 came out. I was like, all right, well, it's enough time has passed. But you're absolutely right.
Yeah, but what I would say to any woman who's listening to me is don't send the guys who love you on a crash out mission over something stupid. If a DV happened or an essay or grade or racism, make sure that is actually what happened because
Hmm.
you're about to start a war over something that probably could have just been resolved with a quick conversation.
Hey, I tell you this much: graveyards and prisons are full of men that have crashed out because of a woman's word, or a man that just put a woman before his purpose. So I mean, I'm not going to put all on the women because those men they've got to understand that hey, I can't be crashing out. I can't be trying to pick a fight. Like especially me. Like I mean, you're I think you're a little bit taller than me, and so people ain't trying to fight us. They're trying to end this fight quickly.
Man, I'll never forget. I was 12 years old, and they had a police officer come to our school, and I was pretty tall back then. And I'll never forget this. He looked at me. He said, "If something ever happened between me and you, I'm not trying to tackle you. I'm trying to take you out. You too big. I'm
Yep.
not doing all that." And I have to be mindful of stuff like that. I know what comes
Same.
with being as tall as we are, and what this it's everything is a risk, man, and you got to manage this stuff accordingly.
Hmm.
But I will say this though: the flip side of this is women make things better. If you ever gone to an event and there's all dudes there, it's a sausage fest.
Hmm.
Dudes start getting antsy, they start getting restless. But then the women come in there and things get calmer. You surrounded by some beauty and some patience and that different type of energy. So there is value there. There's a balance. All I'm saying is, and this is me extending my olive branch before any women start calling me sexist or misogynistic, because they like to use that word incorrectly. But I love y'all. All I'm saying is stop sending people on crash out missions. I've seen this happen way too many times, and it
Hey,
never ends well.
you know what? They ain't gonna know until their son, their nephew, their brother, their father is in that situation.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Serious, y'all. All that shit. Doing unnecessary shit at the gym right now.
I know I said yesterday was the final update to this video, but this is the update that everybody's been waiting for. I spoke to the GM of this gym yesterday, Yana, awesome person. She informed me that this woman has been banned from 24-hour fitness. And she also watched all the security footage. And everything that woman said that he did to her, stole her equipment, tried to intimidate her, was a threat to her, was all a lie. And all those men that were surrounding her, protecting her, they all came in and said they didn't agree with what she did and that she was lying as well. So thank you, 24-hour fitness. One other thing I want to address that's absolutely disgusting is this post from her story.
Mm.
Shaming Black women for being in my comments agreeing with me. So what? Someone has to agree with you just because of the color of their skin or their gender, even if it means agreeing with you, bullying somebody and posting it on social media.
Shout out to Kamala.
Shame on you. I don't know what trauma you've been through, but I truly hope that you heal. And the next gym you join, you learn to respect people. Justice served. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Man, Joey Swole, woo, dog.
So now I kind of changed my position on the men that came to help her because you called them Sims earlier. I wasn't ready to go that far. Now, if
I call
he
them simps though because a lot of times they react based off of what she's saying. So
yeah,
sometimes they will crash out, and now that we have the full story, that's my initial reaction because when she was filming the video, no one stopped her. Like, okay, here, check this out. If you see a man filming some girl and she doesn't know that she's being filmed, I guarantee you every man is gonna come over and check that dude or tell that girl, hey, that dude is being creepy. I don't know if you know him, just want you to be safe. And he got his camera out or whatever. Like every guy is gonna go do something. I'm not saying those men need to do something, but you could at least went to the manager. There's obviously a manager, they have cameras everywhere. None of them did any of that stuff. Now, again, they did, come clean about what really happened, but we've seen a lot of situations happen where men will take action or they don't do anything in these type of situations.
dude, if they went back to that gym and told the security that worked there that they did not agree with what this woman was doing and still tried to go to bat for her, I have lost respect for you as a man.
Yeah.
Because at some point, being a man means you gotta make uncomfortable decisions sometimes. And this is exactly why I want to see Black people be great. I love Black people. I am one. I'm a foundational Black American, but I can't subscribe to this pro-Black ideology no more because we let too much stupid stuff slide and we don't hold anybody accountable. So I've gone from Mr. Pro-Black in my 20s to let me go collect the facts first before I start getting charged up about things. And I found that to be a much healthier lifestyle, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially with a lot of folks being with a pro subscribing to the pro black just because a black woman said it or a black man said it. How many times have we found saw a situation where it's not what really happened, or they said a racist thing happened? And what I've been seeing is that there's just not enough racism stuff going on. Even with that Tyreek Hill situation, I'm not going to go as far as say that that was a wholly racially motivated situation. The cop was the second cop, I believe, one of the cops, whoever pulled him out. He was out of line, but Tyreek Hill was out of line too. He shouldn't have. I think there are definitely ways. I would never tell like anybody, any friend, any family member, this is how you react to the cops. This is how you tell them off. This is how you escalate a situation with a police officer. Like, you get it recorded, or file a complaint. That's how you handle these situations. And then we see all these headlines come around where it's easy to motivate, or I don't want to say motivate, but get tap into some energy with black people by saying something is racist, because we all get connected then. And that's how we have this Kamala situation happening, where she doesn't have any good policies. She doesn't identify as being black. She doesn't really, want to be, associated with black people unless she needs the votes. And that's why she's going on all these speaking tours. But because she is going with this narrative that I am black and so you need to vote for me, we have a lot of people subscribing to that. People that are just terrible, people that don't care about the community of black people, just telling you to vote for her because of identity politics. And so that's why we have to start getting away from this. Just because they said something racist happened, is that what really happened? Because I can show you some other cases where it didn't really happen, but those people, no one cared, and the person already got fired from their job. They already got smeared. And then this is the other thing too that's going to be happening. And we talked about this story briefly the other day, where a black man had
Hold on, before you transition, I want to comment on everything you just said. So
Right.
I'll agree with you that Tariq Hill was out of line, but his out of line on a scale of 1 to 10 was like a 3, and that police officer's out of line was like a 9.
Oh yeah, we agree too.
There's levels to this. That's number one. Number
Yeah.
two, I acknowledge that there is tension between black people and the police that needs to be worked out. But what I've learned is when you have two sides that are unmovable and unwavering, the only way to fix that conversation is you walk in there humbly and you make yourself self-accountable. Here's how I
Mhm.
messed up. Then hopefully if the other person is operating on good faith, they'll give you that same energy. Okay, here's where I messed up. Then you can sit down and start to work things out because you set a foundation of trust.
Yeah.
We have two sides where there's a lot of self-blame to be thrown out. And me as a black person, I have self-blame. I've had bad situations with the police too. Some of it was my fault. I can admit that now. But that's my first point. My second point is, if we distrust the police as much as we claim we do, why did Killer Mike go viral for a video he did where he said, I'm not voting for her because she's a police officer and I know how police officers treat us?
Yeah.
She's a prosecutor. We
Yeah.
generally look at them as cops, but now all of a sudden it's not a problem.
Hey, you know what?
Make it make sense.
Yeah, we got time today, so we about to pivot real quick. That is the one thing that I do not understand, how we're going to be okay with Kamala Harris, who cut her teeth on the backs of black men, black people, really, but also specifically black men, because it's easy to pad your numbers with black men. And she also put a black woman behind, or she sent a black woman to jail over truancy situation, where her kid was missing days at school, but it's for a medical reason. She had like a severe medical, like, I want to say it may have been sickle cell or something, and then she ended up
It
having
was
a
sickle
stroke.
cell.
Yeah. So now all of a sudden we're okay with Kamala Harris, who has been putting black people behind bars, and she's really been putting everyone behind bars. But she really, if you want to get your numbers up, and this isn't just a Kamala Harris thing, this is what all these prosecutors do, where they overcharge or they create a situation where like, hey, you can fight this, but you're gonna be in prison for like 6 months to a year. Do you really want to miss that Christmas? Do you want to miss? Do you want to lose your job? A lot of that stuff is going to happen. That's how they leverage that. And then what I'm saying is that when you have an altercation either with the police or you have an altercation with like, some government official or something like that, you got to keep a cool mind, and you got to record, and then you can go as far as like try to press charges or whatever the case is, or try to make go legal. Like, I don't understand. Had Tyreek Hill just kept his cool and that cop was still berating him, oh my God, that cop would have been fired. That cop would have been, probably reassigned. But whatever it is, Tyreek Hill would never had a situation. I mean, yeah, I get it. He was in a fast car. He was speeding. Okay, he's lucky he didn't hit anyone in that car because that situation does happen. That happened to the football player from the Raiders 2 years ago. He was speeding in his vehicle and he killed somebody. He's doing like what, a couple years in prison right now. So miss me with the whole, he was just speeding, no big deal. Like, I get it, it's a nice car. You're probably going to speed a little bit, but he was going to like 0 to a 90 real quick. And so Tyreek Hill, had he taken the option of like, hey, officer, what's going on? And get on the ground, whatever. I was like, okay, hey, they really messed up. And they did make a situation a little bit easy for Tyreek Hill to come out there and say there was some racially motivated, blah, blah, blah. But it's how the media treats it and how other black people treat it as well, too, because not everything is going to be a full-blown race type of situation. That cop was just out of line. But, I can't, part of the whole situation with the police officers in America is that we know majority of them are not like that, but we treat them all the same. And we say that about how people treat us as black men.
You know what else we're missing here? Let's talk about privilege for a minute. Didn't he go to work that day after the arrest? He went and played that day.
Yeah, he was supposed to. I mean, he was late,
If
but yes, he did.
if our regular selves was in that same situation, we're not going to work that day. We're probably sitting in jail overnight,
Oh yeah,
hoping
yeah.
that we can get a public defender or something,
Mhm.
or we try to put together some funds. So a part of me thinks that the reason why he reacted the way he did was because he knew he had contacts with his football team that were former police officers. We
Sure.
don't have those kind of connections. So a part of me thinks that I empathize with him being a black man, but I have to be logical and say maybe he operated like this because he knew he had an out. He knew he had the
Knew,
resources to deal
yes.
with it.
He knew he was gonna be able to get out of it.
So we have to start looking at things like this. And again, I understand and I agree that there's a problem between black people and the police that needs to be fixed.
Mhm.
But this ain't the way to do it. This ain't the way to approach it and go about it. For starters, we can start getting more of us to become police officers.
Hey, yeah,
Maybe we can push maybe we can push some mandates that maybe you should live in the neighborhoods that you're policing so you can have better relationships. Maybe we should start hiring ex-military officials to come in and teach people chokeholds and chokeouts and kill tactics.
hey,
That's how you solve some of these problems. Maybe you mandate some of these people get therapy, because if you look at DVs within the police force, that's a different conversation too. So I'm not invalidating claims that there's problems on both sides.
Mhm.
I just think we have to approach this differently if we really want to fix things.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, they're not gonna have to worry about police officer shortage. You know who they're gonna have working for the police? The folks coming over from South America, coming over from China, coming over from any place but America. So they're gonna change the rules to allow individuals who are not national or who are not U.S. citizens to apply to be a police officer. So they're not gonna have to worry about the police shortage. They're gonna have someone else, they're gonna have Jorge, like, hey, open up, pendejo. Like they're gonna have those folks in there in their faces in their neighborhoods policing them. So you can either be part of the solution, or you can be, you can watch yourself getting hemmed up by other folks that aren't from your community.
I want to keep this fair because I just threw out some suggestions for the police. Now it's time to throw out some suggestions for us. Number one, Save the nuclear family. Get the moms and dads back in the same damn house so they can work together to raise their kids. There are studies that showed when both parents are together, there's higher understandings of teamwork and success. I know people feel a type of way about that, but it's
Mhm.
true. Let's start there. Let's learn how to coexist with each other and save our nuclear families, because that would solve a lot more problems than people think. And let's learn how to treat each other decently.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot of things that we need to, as a community, need to start doing. Unfortunately, I feel like the programming is just too strong, though, because people still think that Donald Trump is trying to give, the police force just unbridled. I forget the word they use. You remember the word they use, MC?
You talking about the immunity, qualified
Yeah,
immunity?
yeah. Qualified, unbridled, qualified immunity, and it doesn't mean exactly what people think it means. But the police officers got to be able to do. They got to be able to do their jobs. And I'm not saying they need qualified immunity, but we need police officers that can do their jobs. And there are going to be some situations where somebody's going to be stupid, and they're going to be like, "Well, he didn't have a gun on him," or blah blah blah. I'm like, you just can't run from the police. Like, there needs to be better, I don't want to say training, but people need to have like a better understanding of like how the police operate. And this is another thing too. If you feel that your rights are being violated, well, if you know what your rights are, you know what you can do and cannot do. And when the police do something they're supposed to do, then you can take them to court. That's why I don't know why I don't know why in our community we don't do that until there's a body on the floor. I don't know why that's always a situation. I'm not talking about the folks that did lose their lives, like the Sandra Massey. And that was like a really messed up situation that shouldn't even happen. And that could have been completely avoided. And I've seen some things where, it's like, well, why did she do this? And I'm like, again, that definitely could have been avoided. That didn't even need to go down like the way it did, unfortunately, which no one's even talking about that anymore. So it's like, was the community really worried about that conversation or that story?
We tend to be a reactionary group of people, um, and that's always been our detriment. But I want to go back and say something else. I just pulled up an article on Psychology Today. Newark, New Jersey, police forces there started experimenting with employing therapists and psychologists on their staff and sending them out on some of these calls. And some of the results have been pretty awesome and positive. I'll share that link, but I think that's something that needs to be considered as well, because we have a huge mental health problem in this country right now. It's disastrous, man, and I think that'll solve a lot of problems too.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right. We are going to pivot to the next topic. When going in, getting caught in the DMs, go